Okay. Did y'all see what happened last night in Dallas?
Yes.
It seemed unreal. I think we all need to see it again because the Mavericks were in action against the Golden State Warriors. Pivotal game. Zach Lowe talked about it all NBA countdown, how important it was. No Kyrie Irving in this one. But this is the what the heck possession. So Lamb goes up for the shot, doesn't go in. There's a scramble for the ball. Okay, the referee says Warriors ball, timeout Mavericks, mandatory timeout. And then it even looks like Kevon Looney is saying, oh, whose ball was it? Oh, no, look, pointing, it is the Warriors' ball. But the confusion didn't stop there because even over the announcer PA system, they said this. Dallas ball. But it wasn't, in fact, Dallas's ball. Jordan Poole saying, give me the ball, man, because Dallas was not back on defense, allowing Kevon Looney to get the easy bucket on this one. Now, the Mavericks are furious. They are confused. It was our ball. You overturned it. No, you said that this was supposed to be Dallas's ball. Jordan Poole, it's our ball. It's our ball, right? Give me the ball. He's trying to get it inbounds and get the play while they still have the advantage going. He sees it, gets it to Kevon Looney. This is his vantage point of this play. Zach, you're laughing because this is just ridiculous.
A great play by Jordan Poole.
Mark Cuban upset about this, talking to our Dave Pash and Jeff Van Gundy. This is what crew chief Sean Wright said. He said initially on the floor, the original signal was in fact Golden State ball, as this can be seen on video. Then there's a second signal, but that signal is for a mandatory timeout that was due to the Mavericks. So let's take a listen to Steve Kerr and Jason
Number
Kidd.
one, it was my best ATO of the year. It worked brilliantly. Just the way we got organized and confused them. I had to stop, and when I saw them at the other end, I had to stop and think, wait, isn't this our basket?
It wasn't really explained. I think there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people were out of position. The court was split. We're on one side and the Warriors on another, and you have a referee on the baseline. Mike was on the baseline, so I would assume Mike thought it was our ball too. If there's confusion, it's easy to just come in and blow the whistle and get us restarted. It's correctable, but you first have to admit there was a mistake.
Confusion, I think, is the best word to describe all of this. Now, you wouldn't think that maybe that this would matter so much, but this is the end of the game, 1-point game. Steph Curry pushes it up here, gets the bucket, timeout Mavericks. It's a 3-point game here. Luka trying to go to work, get something done here, bounces around, can't quite get it to go. The Warriors retain possession and would end up being a 2-point game, which makes Mark Cuban still think about that one little play. For those wondering about the play with 1:54 left to go in the third, let me explain what happened. The ref called Mavs ball. The announcer announced it, as we just heard. Then there was a timeout, and during the timeout, the official changed the call, never told us. Then when they saw us line up as if it was our ball, they just gave the ball to the Warriors, never said a word to us. They got an easy basket. Crazy that it would matter in a 2-point game. Worst officiating non-call mistake possibly in the history of the NBA. And all they had to do was tell us, and they didn't. Okay. There is a whole lot of there. So let's try to dissuade some of this confusion, clear a couple of things up. Vince, I want to start with you here. You're a former Maverick. Obviously, Cuban, he tweeted that finish will formally be protested. How would you assess the chances that it gets overturned?
The chances it gets overturned, no chance. No chance. But Malika, real quick, if I want to dive into it real fast,
Please do.
And respectfully to Mark Cuban, he said the announcer said it was the Mavs ball. He was wrong. The official said that it was the Mavs ball. That was wrong. And that's where it all went south for him. And the thing about it was a lot of confusion and lack of communication on a lot of people's part, okay? Now, even if you walk into the timeout thinking it's your ball, even if you do, you draw up a play for your team to take the ball out thinking it's your ball.
Right.
If you notice when the team walked back on the court, the ball was out in front of the Golden State Warriors bench. Not one player is down there to take the ball out, even if you think it's your ball as a Dallas Maverick. So the confusion could have been handled also if your player's down there taking the ball out, and you're like, wait, it's our ball. You said it's our ball. Their 5 guys were on the other end of the court. So where's the confusion? You know, so I'm just saying it was just a lot of mishaps there, you know, brain farts, whatever you choose to call it. But it's just like I didn't understand the point. Like, you draw up a play, okay, regardless of whether who's right, who's wrong, not one Maverick either said, hey, wait, it's supposed to be our ball, or the guy who's supposed to take the ball out, whoever that may be, never made it to that end of the court to take the ball out.
Right. I think Perk said it best when you said yesterday, I don't do a very good Kendrick Perkins impressions, as I discovered today in the newsroom, but you said, I'm confused. Is this any less confusing? Are we good? Because there is precedence for this, Perk.
Well, I mean, I'm still confused.
Okay.
And the fact, here's the disappointing part about it, is that Mark Cuban is making a big deal about this, like this was the reason that they actually lost the game. And it wasn't, okay? So my thing is, talk about the missed layups that happened in the game, because I could count a few of them, maybe close to 10 that the Dallas Mavericks missed at the basket.
How about the going for the quick two at the end? Down 3.
So that kind of begs the question.
Or let Steph Curry go straight in for an easy layup.
Right. So, Zach, you had talked about this yesterday, and I'm holding my head in my hands because I'm still with Perk. I'm a little bit confused.
Yeah.
You said yesterday that this was the most pivotal game of the season thus far, particularly for these two teams. Dallas lost. That means that they are down at 8th still. Ninth still, thank you. Right. So how concerned are you?
For the Mavs?
Yeah.
I'm concerned. It was a big game. There will be more pivotal games than that as we get down to the stretch run. But the Mavs lost the tiebreaker and lost the game to the Warriors, and that just puts you one step closer to being in the play-in tournament. They're 4-8 in their last 12 games, 3-6 with Luka and Kyrie. Obviously, Kyrie didn't play last night. And look, we all know what they've been through since making the conference finals. They lost Jalen Brunson in free agency. And to compensate, they traded their 3rd and 4th best players from last year's team, Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, for Kyrie Irving, who, by the way, can walk in free agency this summer. And that's the DEFCON 1 situation for Dallas. A bummer that this bizarro moment of confusion impacted a big game. I'd be mad, too, if I were Mark Cuban, but I don't think the protest is going to be successful. Sorry, Mark.
Go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
Hey, and obviously playing for Mark, one thing I do love about Cube is that he's going to do anything for his team to win or give them a chance to win. He doesn't care who he upsets, who he pisses off. So I think this is now a chance, Mark, just say, I'm trying to do whatever we can to win and put ourselves in the best position. I just don't know. This is, it isn't like if you try to dispute this, that's like 10 racks to actually dispute this. Right. I don't know if that's worth 10,000 to just give away.
If you want to give it away, I'll send you my Zelle.
Hey, Perk, we can split that, you
I should get it.
But here's the thing. The Mavericks have the 2nd easiest remaining schedule. Perk, what's your level of concern for this team?
High level of concern, because we don't know when Kyrie Irving is going to play, right? I mean, I thought he should have played last night, but can we take a moment to appreciate Adam Silver in the NBA? The addition of the play-in tournament. 3 or 4 years ago, think about it, right? This would be a dead period right now when it comes to guys resting and not seeing exciting basketball, towards the tail end of the season. But right now, we're seeing playoff caliber basketball. But if I'm the Dallas Mavericks, as to what Zach just talked about, I'm concerned, because do we really trust Kyrie Irving when it comes down to staying in situations? Because he told the Celtics, I'm going to be here. He went to Brooklyn, and we saw how he bounced on KD. So if the Mavericks don't win, they could really lose Kyrie Irving this offseason for what all they gave up.
Well, the Mavericks, they're 7-11 since making that trade for Kyrie Irving. All right, Kyrie Irving was out. Let's talk about some players that were in. So Memphis, just how dangerous are they? Are they a true title contender here?
Not quite yet for me. I think they need Steven Adams back. They need his offensive rebounding ingredient to kind of prop up their half-court offense. Those Adams and Brandon Clark injuries have really punched a hole in their team, in their identity. But Jaren Jackson Jr. has blown up. We talked about it yesterday. They have a real big 3 with Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Jaren Jackson Jr. How big? They are plus 16.
Wow.
For 100 possessions with those 3 on the floor this season. That is a monster number. They are not to be overlooked, provided they get Steven Adams back, because who in the West has run away with this? I mean, if you're the Grizzlies, maybe you still think you're fine in the West.
They are fine in the West, even without Steven Adams. I mean, you get Ja Morant back. It looked like he didn't miss a beat yesterday. Desmond Baines, we watching him have his best season of his career. Dylan Brooks is becoming the pest, the agitator, the instigator, whatever you want to call it. But again, Zach, like you said, it's going to come down to Jaren Jackson Jr. And not what he's doing right now, because that is great, but it's going to have to carry over into the postseason. And that means playing without fouling, being available on the floor. Can you continue to touch the paint? That's what I've been seeing out of Jaren Jackson Jr. Less three-point shot attempts and dive into the basket. Offensive rebounding, playing with force, along with the shot blocking on the defensive end.
Vince, how are you evaluating the Grizz?
And that's where I was going to go down the path of Jaren Jackson Jr., his importance. He has to stay out of foul trouble. Yes, he's a force to be reckoned with on the defensive end, putting pressure offensively. But without having those two big guys, you can't afford to have him in foul trouble because you kind of downsize, and now you don't really have a true rim protector behind you when you get beat in the paint, which, that is a huge thing in the playoffs. Other than that, matchups matter. And I just really believe that. So, yes, it's wide open. We don't have a true, legit favorite, but I think matchups matter. And I don't think Memphis wants to see Golden State right now in the early rounds, just because it doesn't make sense. So one of those guys are going home. So I just feel like matchups matter, and you just want to get the right matchup to move yourself forward to go as far as possible.
Yeah, but Vince, we want to see it. We want to see Memphis and Golden State.
We can see it in the second round.
We
can see it in the second round. Not in the first round. You don't want to see it in the first.